Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the final session of the conference, which is concluding the day's events. And during this closing ceremony, I will give the recommendations that were made from the various interventions by the speakers. Then we'll have a closing speech from our key sponsor, Collins Aerospace, followed by AFRAA Secretary General, who will officially close the conference. But before I proceed to this closing ceremony, allow me to play a final video from Collins Aerospace. So welcome back, and we'll dig right into it. A lot of initiatives from Collins Aerospace that we have showcased in the executive interviews, as well as from the videos that have been shared. We will have the wrap up and recommendations. And just to highlight that we had yesterday's conference sessions focusing on women and promotion of women in aviation. Today's discussions focused on youth development, the development of the future youth to support Africa's growing needs. And the main recommendation is on financing. We have recommendations that have been grouped under 4 main areas. The first area is on financing, which has been extensively discussed. And this has been the main challenge for aviation professionals seeking to start off careers or to develop careers in aviation. We have noted that very many youth are interested to start a career in aviation, to go to school, but the challenge is that the finances are not sufficient and they don't have many options to consider for them to get this financial support. On this aspect, the first recommendation is that there is a need to create an African Air Transport Fund to invest in skill development of the next generation of aviation professionals in Africa. The next recommendation made is that aviation should be prioritized at government level because there's need for government to step in and support the training initiatives. The third recommendation under financing is that there is need for more advocacy. The ecosystem of industry stakeholders needs to come together to strategize on outreach initiatives so that we can obtain financial support from governments. The next recommendation on financing is that financing should be addressed under the AU Agenda 2063 objectives on human resource development. Next is that funding partners need to sign tripartite agreements with schools to accord scholarships. This was derived from the fact that there is a gap whereby many financing options are offered through the civil aviation authorities or airlines, and individuals who are not part of these organizations are not able to access this funding. And next, on the financing option, the last recommendation is that we need to make scholarship opportunities available in transparency to youth and give equal opportunities. The second area of the recommendations is on training. To blossom the next generation aviation professionals, the first recommendation made is that we need to promote the ICAO NGAP initiative. Secondly, on training, for cost-effective training, we need to tap into the instructor development program for AFRA member airlines. This will facilitate cheaper training because you're going to use African instructors to train African aviation professionals. The third recommendation on training is that there's need to enhance mentorship by the existing role models. Fourth, under training is we need to have more partnership initiatives and drives with schools, as we have seen some of the organizations that are already doing this. We have seen how Collins Aerospace is doing this initiative. We have Educator Global, who have shared with us in the panel various initiatives they're doing with schools, so more needs to be done. And lastly, under training, the recommendation is that global entities need to avail opportunities for youth development to African beneficiaries. We've seen beneficiaries from other continents, initiatives such as BETSHICAN, which is not covering Africa, and we now need to have more of these initiatives reaching out to the African market. The third aspect of the recommendations is on communication. The first recommendation is that there is need to communicate and engage with youth at early ages into aviation careers through outreach programs. We have learned that even starting at high school, we are late. We need to start even earlier to interest them and make aviation attractive at a very young level so that we can have these individuals engaging in aviation careers from a very early stage. Secondly, under communication is that we need to have events and networking opportunities so that we can share perspectives and deliberate on opportunities and actions, noting that it is from the networking that the youth are able to access opportunities and learn what is being done and see how they can engage stakeholders on existing initiatives for them to benefit from these initiatives. The third recommendation under communication is that there needs to be continuous encouragement of youth who are pursuing aviation and training and careers. Let us encourage our youth who are pursuing careers in aviation, training in aviation, so that we keep that interest going. The challenge being that the other industries are quite attractive and we may lose this youth along the way. And the fourth aspect of the recommendations is on the employment opportunities. The first recommendation on the employment opportunities is that airlines and aviation organizations, be it civil aviation authorities, service providers, manufacturers, and all the stakeholders in the supply chain, we need to facilitate students to obtain on-the-job experience. We need to offer these opportunities to well-qualified young professionals who have gone through the schooling and are ready now to step into the job market. The second recommendation under the employment opportunities is there needs to be more apprenticeship programs by aviation entities and corporates to young aviation professionals. And now this brings me to the conclusion of the recommendations and actions that have arisen from this conference deliberation second day. We did the same for the first day, and we got some very good recommendations, which will be taken on board on the action plan for Afra with various stakeholders. And we will be communicating in the coming days on various initiatives that we will be undertaking based on the actions that have been recommended from the 2 days discussions. I wish to sincerely thank Collins Aerospace for their sponsorship of this event and for the team that worked behind the scenes to make all this event a success. Right from the time we had the concept note, the time we are putting together the program, sending the invites, and having this conference online. We thank you all for sitting with us, participating online for these 2 days, taking time off your busy schedules, and also for your contributions. We had some very good contributions from the participants, those who are able to send us some questions, some recommendations. And for our speakers, we thank you sincerely for your very insightful and fruitful deliberations that have given us actions and some recommendations that we can take as inputs for our actions as AFRA in partnership with various organizations so that we can drive the agenda forth of promotion of women in aviation and the development of youth in aviation. At this juncture, I will now invite our key sponsor, Mr. Didier Perrin, who is the VP Sales and Marketing Avionics at Collins Aerospace, to give his closing speech, which will be followed by a speech by AFRA's Secretary General. Didier, you have the floor.
Thank you, Maureen. What a great conference and a very comprehensive list of recommendations. I'm humbled to provide the closing remarks for this event. I hope you have all found it, like me, very exciting, inspiring, and full of promises for aviation in the world and in Africa. I would like to thank AFRA for organizing this Women and Youth in Aviation conference. And on behalf of Collins Aerospace, let me tell you that we are very proud to be the sponsor of such an important event. As we are redefining aerospace and air travel in a post-COVID world, we strongly believe that we will be only successful in creating a sustainable future for the industry we love if we embrace different perspectives, learn from different experiences, and address each new challenge with diversity of thought. This can only be achieved through the inclusion of women right across the spectrum up to top-level leadership roles, and by continuing to encourage youth to consider aviation careers. I would also like to thank all the speakers for their insightful and inspiring presentations. We are all working in the same environment with the same challenges, so it's very important to share information, experiences, and best practices in order to effect change and attract the top talent into our industry. The agenda of this conference and what we have heard from the different speakers demonstrate that our industry still has a lot to do, but is on the right track in gender diversity and youth development. So let this be our call to action. We all have a role to play, and each of us can make a difference in inspiring, attracting, and retaining women and youth in our industry. Last but not least, I would like to tell the women and young people who are listening to this conference and who are interested in aviation or STEM careers, this industry is the place to be. Why? Well, number one, aviation has proven to be resilient. It went through many crises and always transformed or adapted itself to the new environment. Number two, it is the safest and most efficient mode of transportation, connecting people, cultures, business across the continents. And as such, it is essential for the trade, business, tourism, and economy. And number three, it is a high technology industry where innovation and creativity have been instrumental to its development since the Wright brothers, and where innovation and creativity remain key to tackle the many challenges being faced, such as decarbonization, digitalization, and automation. So if there is a time to redefine aerospace, this is it. So come and join our industry, innovate for sustainable future, and grow aviation in Africa with empowered women and youth as promoted by the African Union Agenda 2063. I will leave you with this quote from Captain Koki Muntungi. Stop limiting yourself. Everything is possible. It's not about gender, it's about determination. Thank you very much again for a great conference. Back to you, Maureen.
Thank you very much, Didier, for your very powerful closing remarks. And we will now hand over to AFRA Secretary General, Mr. Abderrahmane Berté, to give his closing remarks and officially close the conference.
Thank you, Maureen. Good morning or good afternoon to everyone. Thanks again to distinguished presenters, panelists, and all participants to this conference. We have appreciated your engagement and contribution to this conference. I wish again to thank Collins Aerospace, our sponsor for this conference. Allow me to congratulate AFRA team headed by Maureen Kahange for this successful conference. The world of aviation industry is changing fast. Through innovation, digitalization, the unexpected impact of COVID-19. This change must be matched with effective progress for ensuring the promotion of women in aviation and the development of skilled aviation professionals in Africa. The existing barriers must be broken and opportunities availed to women and youth so as to strengthen the foundation for the sustainable growth of the aviation industry. Together, we can overcome the barriers so that not one woman, not any youth in the African continent should ever be restricted, held back, and denied equal opportunity to rise in their career in aviation. Therefore, let me conclude by reminding every one of us that our actions matters. I declare this conference closed, and I wish you all a good evening. Thank you. Over to you, Maureen.
Thank you very much. And from AFRA, it's a goodbye, but not goodbye for long. We will be meeting you at the various industry events. Allow me to conclude with some videos from AFRA and Collins Aerospace. You can sign off at your own will. Bye-bye.
The African Airlines Association, AFRAA, is the leading trade association of African airlines. AFRAA membership comprises all the major intercontinental African operators, and its members represent over 85% of total international traffic carried by all African airlines. In the last 52 years, AFRAA has been instrumental in developing and articulating air transport policy issues in Africa and is at the forefront of major initiatives in the air transport field in Africa, sensitizing airlines to take concrete actions for cooperation in operational, legal, commercial, technical, information communication technology ICT, and training fields. At AFRAA, we envision a sustainable, interconnected, and affordable air transport industry in Africa, where African airlines become key players and drivers to African economic development. AFRAA's objectives are anchored on 5 strategic pillars: safe and secure air transport in Africa, enhanced visibility, reputation, and influence of African airlines in the global aviation industry, sustainability of air transport in Africa, cooperation, and data intelligence. To meet the strategic objectives, AFRAA offers the following services. AFRAA Capacity Sharing Portal. This portal improves AFRAA member airlines airplane exchange and enhances cooperation. It is a one-stop shop designed to meet airlines' sale, purchase, and leasing needs, thus boosting revenues and enhancing efficiency through increased aircraft utilization. AFRAA UTD MRO project. This project helps member airlines generate revenue by selling African MRO capabilities in the US market and excess inventories of spare parts in the US market. This is also a portal to facilitate purchase or exchange of spare parts surplus amongst our members. AFRAA Flight Plan Navigation Charges Tool. This is a data intelligence tool to reduce airlines' air navigation service charges through checking and validating real operational data. AFRAA Spare Parts Pooling Project. This portal reduces airlines' fuel burn by eliminating the unnecessary carrying of aircraft spares, thus increasing the payload or revenue to airlines by replacing spare wheels with cargo. AFRAA Distribution Project. This is an AFRAA distribution system that supports transactions between airlines and travel agents at a reduced cost for member airlines, coupled with a booking engine that will allow airlines to sell their capacities and travel agents to display capacities, book, issue tickets, and generate sales reports. AFRAA Police Operations Management Project. This is an AFRAA initiative to help the member airlines manage operations disruptions and crises while delivering quality services to passengers. AFRAA Connectivity Portal. This is a portal for airlines to consult connectivity opportunities, passenger or cargo capacity, route profitability, and other industry-related contents. AFRAA Prodigy ATO Project. This is an AFRAA partnership with Prodigy Avia Solutions for transformational aviation capacity building to support the future growth of the African aviation industry. AFRAA Members ATO's Partnership Framework. This is an AFRAA cooperation with member airline ATOs to provide the appropriate training to better address the various training needs of the African aviation. AFRAA Consulting provides access to market-leading strategic services geared to support the industry to attain sustainable airline operations in Africa. Our expertise includes airline restructuring, technical and operations, training, safety, finance, and commercial. In addition to AFRAA services, the association has set up task forces or steering committees as the vehicle to reduce airline costs, increase their revenues, address members' common interest, and adopt industry best practices. These include Fuel Purchase Committee, Technical Operations and Training Committee, Route Network and Cargo Committee, Aeropolitical Committee, and Distribution Committee. AFRAA, Better Skies for Africa.